Hello everyone and welcome back to another high-level match of StarCraft 2. What I've got for you today is a Terran versus Protoss, a best-of-5 series. That's the grand finals of the ESL Open Cup, Americas. Now spawning right here in the top right-hand corner of the map, playing with the red Terran SCVs. From South Korea, we have ByuN. His opponent in the opposite corner with the blue Protoss pieces, another player who's not a stranger to these grand finals at all. From Denmark, we're looking at MaxPax's main Nexus. ByuN apparently starting off this series with a little bit of spiciness. And you know what? I'm a big fan. You probably are a big fan too. Well, you like watching SC2. Generally speaking, the more aggressive build orders, they're a lot of fun to watch, especially if the players go for a more macro-focused approach on the back of it. Although, sometimes I've seen ByuN get into these moods, right, where he's just cheesing every single game. We'll see if that's going to be the case in this particular finals as well. I've seen series where it's like a best of 7 and he goes for a proxy Rex literally every single match. Anyhow, it's going to be double gas right here on the back of it. Only a single barracks on the other side of the map. Definitely going to be some Reaper shenanigans because there's this nice location over here to jump straight into the opponent's main base. Can be a little bit annoying because at this point MaxPax does not know anything about what's happening on his side of the map just yet. He did decide to go for a probe scout, so that's nice, and he is going to go for a cyber core before the Nexus. That is super important, because otherwise your stalkers or your adepts are just going to pop a little bit too late. Now he gets on the other side of the map, and he sees a whole lot of nothing. He's going to go back in just to confirm the double gas here, okay, so that's nice. But the first Reaper is already building on the Protoss side of the map. No Zealot or anything along those lines. I think he just wants to rely on his probe micro here. I mean, he doesn't know exactly what he's going up against, but at this point, this should be a pretty clear indicator as ByuN starts up a bunker right below the gas geyser. So trying to reduce the surface area here, trying to find a spot where, okay, that SCV can't be attacked. Stalker being chronoed right now, but the Reaper is already inside of the main base. One of the SCVs, or the one SCV here, actually. I thought he sent a second one, but obviously that's the one that built that barracks. Anyways. Runs very, very low on HP. It does end up going down. 2 probes so far. He's looking for a third. Is he going to get it? He will get it, but he takes a lot of damage here on the Reaper too. And honestly, 3 probes, 1 SCV. Scouting worker gets back home as well. And then, I don't think this is quite worth it just yet here for ByuN. He did decide to go for a second Reaper, so that's nice, I suppose. But yeah, he's looking right now for that scouting probe, but he sees that it's nowhere to be found. Anyways, so far, good defense right here from MaxPax. Considering he got one of the workers there of the opponent too, this is not bad whatsoever. Because, of course, this barracks is now going to have to make the flight of shame all the way back home towards the Terran's main base. And this takes, in the mind of a Terran, about the entirety of the game. Like, this takes forever. Ooh, love that little move, actually. The 2 Reapers there waiting on the high ground for one of the probes to run by. That was a fresh probe that just got built inside of that Nexus. They got rallied towards the low ground and, well, the hit squad right there. The assassination attempt, it was indeed successful. Okay, good grenade once again here by ByuN. Getting into the natural. Okay, I think he's starting to get to the point right now where he's sacrificing those Reapers. Right now, though, it's looking a whole lot nicer already, right? He scouts the Stargate opener here, too. Sadly here for that Reaper, he is stuck, so no way for it to escape from this location. He scouts that it's Phoenixes, and, well, 6 probes here is a whole lot better than his 3, right? It's nice, though, to keep those Reapers around for a little while longer, but I guess he doesn't need it, as he decides to go for a second Cyclone together with a Viking. There's going to be a reactor here on the barracks, so ByuN definitely is planning on being more aggressive here moving forward. Stalker's moving, okay, towards the other side of the map. Obviously, it's been a while since MaxPax has seen his opponent's base, but he's seen double gas, so he should not be all too surprised here to see Cyclones. Maybe he's going to be surprised, though, to see a second Cyclone. Yeah, second Cyclone at this point is out. He does decide to lift one of them off, but good control right here out of ByuN, as expected. And honestly, this achieved a whole lot of nothing. Don't lose that, though. Okay. I did have energy for a scan, but he decided not to do it. He probably wouldn't have gotten it anyways, but... So far, both players taking a little bit of damage here in the early game. And despite the fact that I think ByuN is microing a little bit better here than his opponent, I do like this game a bit more here for MaxPax. Just because he's got a bigger economy, right? Economy in StarCraft 2 is everything. Even though this is still a strategy game and trying to out-micro and, you know, outplay your opponent strategically is super important. But more stuff still beats less stuff, and as long as MaxPax is gonna be able to just get the right units out at the right time, you should be feeling pretty comfortable. Only 2 Marines built out of that reactored barracks. Yeah, he's gonna be making a couple more on the back of it. Even the siege tank right now is gonna roll towards the other side of the map. Hope it doesn't get stuck over here in the river. That would be something. Phoenixes are gonna fly into the main base right now. They will get 1 SCV, but they need to be very careful, because there is an aggression on the other side of the map too. The Immortal popped though. And that does mean actually that one of the Cyclones there got killed easily. Okay, Phoenix is intercepting here a couple of reinforcing units as well. Siege tank was thinking about going in there, but there's a second Immortal on the back of it, and this is looking a whole lot nicer right now here for MaxPax. Shutting down the aggression of the opponent once again, and yeah, this time around he wasn't even struggling that much either. Okay, ByuN once again trying to catch the opponent off guard, and he gets it once more. That's another Phoenix going down. Very nice movement right here from ByuN. By the way, this is of course not on the new StarCraft 2 balance patch just yet. So these Cyclones over here, they're, well, he's not gonna go for the Cyclone improvement, I don't think. These are just gonna be like the good old Cyclone that we are very well used to. It's gonna take a little bit until the games on the new patch are gonna be available as well. I mean, right now on the, well, at least as of me making this video right now, the new patch is not available on the ladder in StarCraft 2 just yet. I don't really expect it for at least another couple of weeks, but we'll see how the meta develops when that new multiplayer balance patch does release. In case you're unfamiliar, I'll go ahead and post a link to the new balance changes down below in the description of this video, so you can go check that out. I made a video about it very recently. Anyhow, the Phoenixes, not a unit that will be changed, and you can see that they are plenty powerful. Super annoying here. It does cost them quite a bit of energy, but the units are so fast as well that even if right now ByuN would go for an attack, there's still a good chance that the Phoenixes are going to be able to go back home and still defend in time with enough energy. Just lifting up a couple of those siege tanks would be really, really nice. That's exactly why you do want to keep him around. Is he going to scan? Oh, he uses the... okay, that was a little bit cheeky. He uses one of the Phoenixes there to lift up one of the Cyclones to decline the lock-on. But in the end, he still ends up losing one. On the back of this, though, MaxPax has secured the 3rd Nexus. He's gonna go into Colossus play. Extended Thermal Lens is about halfway done. That's gonna make all of this quite a bit nicer. Careful. Ooh, that's a lot of siege tanks, dude. Yeah, I was gonna say, I don't think you want to be walking into the line of fire of those. MaxPax doesn't have vision of it. He does have an observer, and that one is gonna be coming back right now, but he needs to be very careful. This high ground here is sweet. But this is still a scary amount of units right now from ByuN, though, and we have been seeing quite a few of the Protoss units here bleeding out. Okay, now the Observer sees exactly what's going on, so that's nice. Extended Thermal Lens is finishing up, Stimpack is finishing up as well. ByuN is just playing aggressive today. Look at this. Following it up with a couple missile turrets here too. Keep in mind that the Colossi are considered both ground as well as air units. So missile turrets can indeed hit the Colossus, and, well, the Phoenixes obviously are also going to take quite a bit of damage here. And this is a very interesting little slow push here from ByuN, but I really like this. He could start moving those siege tanks in more aggressive positions if he wants to as well. SCVs right now? Okay, well, I was gonna... Well, they can't use Stimpack, but at least the SCVs, they're building missile turrets. While the Marines and the Marauders, they catch one of the Colossus. A lot of the units, though, do end up going down here. Okay, careful now. Phoenix is not in the right place, so Vikings end up getting quite a bit of damage done. Shield battery is gonna go down, and it seems to me that we are getting to the point where MaxPax may very well have to commit, but the problem is there's so much static defense here that he can't. If these bunkers finish up, those bio units are gonna have a safe haven over there as well. I mean, charge at this point is done. Normally you'd pull the trigger at this point, but I don't know if that's really an option. ByuN coming in with a very scary move. MaxPax trying his very best to micro this to the best of his abilities, and now a bunch of the Zealots are coming in to snipe a few of the reinforcements. Okay, one tank goes down. That's really nice. It is so easy to decide to just all army hotkey and then move into this sieged up position, but that's not what you want to do. I don't know if you really have another option here, though, as MaxPax. I mean, he's got the superior economy, right? So what he's trying to do is just engage as late as possible, because he knows that he's going to be able to make more stuff than his opponent here eventually. As long as he can continuously warp in units, and he's got 10 gateways, so he should be okay. He is going to be able... Oh my god, that was a battery overcharge. He is going to commit right now. Is this really the time, though? I don't think it is. Is it? Vikings even now land 2 because the Colossus are gone. This is super close. Immortals now getting on top of the siege tanks as well, and I do think actually it was the right call. That was a very questionable decision there when I saw him making it, but yeah, okay, in the end it was the right call. That was kind of crazy, actually. The fact that MaxPax looked at that and he was like, you know what? No, right now is the time I need to go and clear this out. I probably would have waited for at least another warp in, but he was, I guess, a little bit concerned about losing some of those units. Anyhow, MaxPax breaks out of that contain. Couple of the ByuN units right now. Okay, decide to sneak around the side, but now MaxPax is smelling blood in the water. He wants to try and see if he can break his opponent's natural. Those Immortals from earlier, they're once again here. 5 and 7 kills on them. They've actually been the complete heroes in this game. Getting so much damage in. No more high ground vision here, so MaxPax is not able to take down that siege tank, but now he's dealing a ton of damage here on the other side of the map. Still, he needs to be careful. Yeah, lifting up the siege tank right now is not really going to achieve a whole lot. But I think he's got this one in the back right now. Yeah, you don't really have to take a 4th Nexus, I don't think, my man. I think just making more stuff will probably be all you really need to do. Phoenix right now scouts that there's a command center flying on down towards the low ground. And despite the fact that ByuN has played a hyper-aggressive game number 1, usually he wins with this style, MaxPax shows us that even though he was a bit of a cheeser when he first came up, he is very comfortable playing that macro and defensive game these days. Now, when exactly do you move out? When exactly do you commit? He's got the upgrade lead, he's got the army lead, he's got the economy lead. Everything's looking pretty good right now for Protoss. But of course, breaking this situation is not easy. This is one way of doing it, though. Going into the main base and being obnoxious here with Zealots. Zealots already ready to come in from the side, as well as the main force here on the left. ByuN going up against a Protoss player who split up his army into multiple locations. Love that little supply depot here. Does MaxPax have enough to just overwhelm this right now? He's trying to come in with this... Oh, well, okay, I thought we were going to come in with a Zealot flank over here, too. He clears out the siege tanks, and I think with that, yep, he wins the game. Alright, next up, Tropical Sacrifice. I love to see that MaxPax is capable of going toe-to-toe with ByuN these days. Like a couple of years ago, did not quite expect that. For the longest time in StarCraft 2's history, we've had the same players, right? Obviously, some players ended up retiring because they got too old, right? Or they had to start up, especially in Korea, their mandatory military service. And after completing that, they decided to switch their lives around a little bit. But for the longest time, for the first, quite a few years, we basically saw the same players at the top of the skill level all of the time. Especially in the Korean SC2 scene, I think that Maru was considered to be like the youngest Korean pro player from like 2010 all the way until like 2020, and he kind of still is. So we haven't had a lot of new blood there, but MaxPax, I think he came up like 2 years ago, definitely one of the top level Protosses in the world. Obviously, more recently than MaxPax, we've had the North American player Trigger, Canadian pro, who is now, at least according to Aligalek, even considered to be better than Scarlet. So that would make him the rank 1 player from Canada, although not entirely sure if I agree with that. But it's wonderful to see that we've had new players join the professional gaming scene in SC2 and actually performing incredibly well. It surprises me also a little bit, because, okay, in the past, and again, I don't mean any disrespect or whatever to MaxPax, but in the past, we've had players that play very cheesy, and then they come up and they can take games off of the best players in the world for a little while, but then the best players in the world figure out how to counter that cheesy style, and then it no longer works, right? So MaxPax started off as a cheeser like that, and I wouldn't have been all too surprised if, you know, he came up with some cheesy build orders, it worked for some time, but then he just couldn't keep up with the macro that the other guys had, and Yeah, he just simply... But in that previous game, he played a really beautiful defensive game. Maybe his micro wasn't as good as we'd like to see it, right? And obviously that's something you can train. But he knew exactly what to do against his opponent early game shenanigans. He did not panic whatsoever. He stayed very cool and he knew what the next approach of the opponent was likely going to be. And he handled that game brilliantly. That's the sign of a great player. Anyway, let's see. We've got ourselves a concussive shells opener right here from ByuN. Interesting. There's an adept going across the map though, and last time I checked, concussive shells not great against adepts. I mean, you want to try and catch your opponent's units, but that shade ability here is going to be quite nice. Okay, now he sees. And the adept is gone. Okay, ByuN. Cute little move. But I'm assuming that MaxPax now knows exactly what he needs to do against this sort of thing, right? So, love that as well. Hiding in the tall grass here for a little bit. Shading forward just to see if the Marauders are venturing out onto the map. They were thinking about it at least for a moment, but... don't think it's necessarily the best call, because... well, it's going to be the Warp Gates upgrade that will finish up here very soon. We've already got quite a few Gateway units too. Yeah, they may just be able to contest those Marauders pretty easily. Maybe they're used defensively right now. Ugh. Okay. Anyways, blink on the back of this here from MaxPax. I think it's going to be a cheeky little medevac drop here momentarily as well for ByuN, or at the very least that's an option that he will have. Yeah, cute opener once again by ByuN, but not really giving him a ton of value. So he's burrowing that Widow Mine in a location where if you're MaxPax and you're looking at this, this is what he sees. He doesn't see much. Obviously, you can turn the camera, but don't think the players will usually do that while they're actually playing a game right here. So ByuN at this point doesn't know what he's going up against, right? So one of the issues you run into over here is that it could be an Oracle, right? If suddenly now an Oracle shows up, he could be in a little bit of trouble. Actually, never mind. I was gonna say, I thought there was another Widow Mine. So there is a Widow Mine hiding right here behind the refinery too, but an Oracle could still go in like that and get some damage in. Okay, he wants to scout a little bit more. And he now sees exactly what he's going up against, so MaxPax at least now knows that he needs to get some units out. 3 Widow Mines inside of a medevac. They're gonna start hunting right here for this mineral line, or maybe this mineral line over here. With Blink, though, I think he should be okay. It's gonna finish up here momentarily. But first, we're gonna have a little bit of Stalker dancing here on the other side of the map. Stimpack not done just yet. Prism over here. Beautiful scout right there, but MaxPax sees exactly what he's going up against. Needs to be careful, though. Widow Mines are still burrowing. Yeah. Oh, good split. Okay. I mean, not bad here for a start for ByuN. He was definitely hoping to kill more workers than that. Almost a disaster. Now those Widow Mines are going to try and run away. Blink. Should we have a blink? I think we should have a blink. Yep. Gets one. And should get the last one, too. Okay. Once again, maybe not the most brilliant micro right there from MaxPax. But strategically, it's very solid, right? Like, he knows what to do. He knows how much he can afford losing here. And he does what he needs to do. There's one siege tank available. There's also a Banshee out. Again, very flimsy early game here from ByuN. It all feels very dangerous anyways. Like, this is one blink away from being an absolute disaster. Couple of SCVs here pretending to be Marauders and Marines as well. Second siege tank is out. MaxPax playing very conservatively though. Yeah, not really taking any chances, and honestly he doesn't really need to. Maybe this Banshee though can turn the tide of this game, because I'm not really liking this position here for ByuN all too much. Prism is gonna go into the main base. Stalker's in the natural. There is Cloak done as well, right? Yeah, he's got Cloak. There's only a single observer, and that one's currently on the other side of the map, so he does warp in a couple of Stalkers. Recall now being used on that probe, so that one at the very least is going to be brought back home. No targeting right there, though, on the actual workers here by ByuN. He was busy defending at home, and he ends up losing the Banshee too. That was a Banshee with Cloak. All he got was 2 probes. Not worth whatsoever. Dare I say that MaxPax is outplaying ByuN? I think so. I think so. Now, of course, there is still a big army, though, inside of the main base of the Terran, right? He's got Stimpack done. He's going for the +1 infantry weapons. He'll have to get the combat shield upgrade here soon enough as well. At the very least, if he wants to stay competitive in this game, he may need to. Third command center just started up, and he's got a lot of workers. Now, a medevac misrallied? More stalkers, yeah, thinking about blinking into the main base, and they do. Good pickup control right here by MaxPax. He must be wondering, though, where the rest of that Terran army is currently located, and that one's right over there. He did recall, obviously, recently, though, so this is actually about to get really weird, because he can't now recall his army. Recall is still on cooldown here, because he used that recall on that one observer. There are 2 Colossi available. Is he gonna lose one of them for basically free? Looks like it to me. Another Banshee here. Wait, he did make 2 Banshees. I thought he only made 1. Anyways, battery overcharge is going to be absolutely critical. Okay, he does get it. In the meantime, Stalkers are thinking about going back home, and that's exactly what they're doing. A couple of Zealots now charged at one of the tanks. Second siege tank running out of juice as well. And this is going from bad to worse right now here for ByuN. He needs to get a lot more damage done than what he's done here. Okay, Probe's actually not pulled towards the main base. So maybe this could be the beginning of a comeback. 24 workers. How did he just kill 24 workers there? You know what? This game is now very playable. Yeah, this game is now very playable here. If only that Colossus wouldn't have gone down, and if those probes were rallied straight towards either the third or the opponent's... Well, anywhere, I guess. Anywhere but over here. It doesn't really matter. He actually needs another pylon over here, too, to restart up the research here for the extended thermal lens. I don't know if he's realized that that is out of range. Oh, no. That pylon does not power that robo-bay. No, MaxPax. Careful, careful, careful. Okay, so now ByuN is actually in a fine spot. He's got the third command center landed. Economically speaking, it's been an absolute roller coaster of a game, but he's gonna be able to now start mining with 3 mules as well if he wishes. This is a problem. He must see, right? Really? He's been chronoing the robo facility here for some time. He just started up the Templar archives. I don't think he's paying attention to that sort of thing at all. No, he's busy microing on the other side of the map and controlling units here. The Mil Carrick trying to give away the position to the Terran player where those stalkers are located. Someone's invading his habitat, but he's not scared. Curious maybe, but not scared. We've got 3 Colossi, but without the ranged upgrade. A couple of units over here at the bottom of the map just got sniped as well. Not quite ideal. Did he just lose the prism? Oh yeah, he did just lose the prism. Okay, that sucks. Okay, well, MaxPax is falling apart. I liked what he was doing earlier on into this game. Now he finally starts up the pylon, and now he's finally gonna start continue researching here. But how in the world are you gonna hold this? I don't think you do. Good movement right there from ByuN. Excellent picking off. Yeah, good target firing, like realizing exactly where he needs to be. He's gonna unsiege everything. A couple of zealots on the other side of the map being annoying, okay. Is there enough for MaxPax to break through this? He now grabs 3 siege tanks, it seems. Okay, you know what? Extended thermal lens is finishing right now. Later than we wanted it, but better late than never. What a game. This is one of those lower high-level games I've seen in a while, where both players are strategically making brilliant decisions, but like, they're just throwing stuff at the wall right now and hoping that something sticks. Okay. Yeah, you know what? Ooh, if he grabs this medevac, I am definitely favoring. Okay, MaxPax again. Not quite, though. Additional reinforcements being warped in. Is he really gonna commit right now? Those supply depots forcing those zealots to charge at somewhere they don't really want to charge. Vikings up in the air, picking off the Colossi one at a time. Siege tank over there helping out too. Another tank, though, ends up going down, but I think that MaxPax just overextended again. What a roller coaster of a game. Eventually, it is ByuN who obtains the victory. Inside and Out. That's gonna be our third map. ByuN apparently so happy with how game number 1 went that he decides to go for, okay, another SCV move out in the earlier stages of this match. So in game number 1, he went for a cheeky little Reaper opener. Game number 2, we saw quick concussive shells. Game number 3, I guess we're gonna have a double proxy barracks rush? Fair enough. It's unlikely that MaxPax is going to check this position here early on. This is a rather aggressive spot, because this is the natural right here of the Protoss. But while MaxPax does like to go for probe scouts towards the other side of the map, he usually does not deviate from his scouting pattern. Okay, so there's the scouting probe. If it checks the high ground, that would be amazing, but it's not going to happen. We've had some players actually checking a couple different locations, but no, not going to happen here. MaxPax will find out what's going on the other side of the map, and there's obviously a whole lot of nothing. It's going to be a single gas, okay. So while ByuN will have to go for some Marines, he will have a transition prepared as well out of this, but this is going to be one base play here for quite a while. MaxPax needs to go Cybercore before Nexus. Okay, he does. And he does now go for a Zealot as well. So that Zealot is actually quite nice. Yeah, he hasn't seen much from the opponent. He's seen one gas rather than the double gas that he saw in game number 1. Nexus on the low ground here regardless. But at this point, he doesn't know exactly what he's playing against. Okay, he's going to check. So he will find out. That is a dead probe. Yep, good micro right there by ByuN. He needs to wait, I guess, until that gateway, is going to be able to produce cybernetics core units. And he starts up a Stalker here immediately. Once again, we have a bunker coming up, tucked away against one of those Protoss structures. Trying to reduce the service area, and ByuN doing an excellent job at exactly that. If that bunker finishes, obviously, Mr. MaxPax is going to be in a lot of trouble. That's what he's trying to prevent. One of the SCVs goes down. Shield battery here now also coming up. But the Zealot here dies. That's already a lot of probes. Yeah. Problem is, no cancel on that either. The problem is that with this positioning on the bunker, it's in range of course, the shield battery. And without the Nexus, you can't overcharge it anyways. ByuN is going to end up going down as well. And this is going from bad to worse. Now even forcing the cancel on that Nexus. What's the follow-up going to be here, MaxPax? What in the world can we even really do? ByuN's got a factory at home. So no expansion or anything like that for our Terran here either. One option you always have, obviously, is like a 4-gate, right? He's going very heavy gas. So, okay. It's going to be a robo facility. But, yeah. One of the barracks is going to go home. The other one is going to scout the main base. So even though there's going to be a few Stalkers available, I believe that ByuN should still be able to figure out exactly what he's playing against. Starport on the back of this too, so ByuN having a nice tech lead. This is not a one game yet though, for the Terran player. But life is definitely looking up here. ByuN is going to get the scout off. He now knows what he's playing against. He sees the robo facility. You saw him clicking on it right there. The little circle indicator. He decides to go back home. There is definitely going to be a point where you want to abandon this low ground, but it's not just yet. No, you can stay out there for a little bit longer. There's going to be a prism here. We cannot afford to lose any more units though. Losing those 7 probes was rather painful, right? So if you look right now at the income, So initially, MaxPax had more workers because, well, obviously ByuN sent units towards the other side of the map and he was building structures on the other side. But then eventually, ByuN just ends up with more income here. And this is super important. Even though it's only about 150 minerals more per minute right now, it adds up very quickly. Okay, so he should be able to break out of his own natural now. Prism is available, so you can pick up some of those weakened Protoss units. Careful, you don't want to lose anything. Good targeting here as well by the Terran. Okay, eventually all of the Terran units go down. Banshee on the back of this here for ByuN. And he's also going for double siege tank. Now, there is a command center here. And all that ByuN really needs to do now is play this out very slowly. He doesn't need to be too aggressive. I mean, he can send the Banshee across. But having the economical advantage against the Protoss player is super nice. It just means that your default standard timing attacks with, for example, like +1 and combat shields and all that, they're gonna get more powerful. MaxPax needs to get some sort of damage done on the other side of the map. Not getting a whole lot just... Oh, no. Hello. Oh, my God. Well, that's a disaster. GG. All right. And that brings us to Moon Dance. A match point right here for ByuN. Are we going to go for anything feisty this time around, ByuN? No? Nah, that's going to be building a supply depot. I know. A little bit disappointing. Have you ever noticed, by the way, that all the Terran structures, when they're in their first phase, in their first stage of being constructed, they all look identical? This could be just a miniature command center right now. Okay, now it's got the little flaps coming out of the side, but look at the barracks. It's just the same thing, but slightly bigger. I think, anyways. I've never really noticed much of a difference. And then at some point, halfway through its creation, it will turn into a different structure all of a sudden. Isn't it magical? Life truly is beautiful. Anyways, ooh. I guess that's one thing you can do. You can go for double barracks inside of your own main base. Well, you can plant them on the other side. You can go for inside of your own main base. This is obviously a quicker gas right now for ByuN, so he's planning on going for a little bit of a Reaper shenanigans, I believe. Probe Scout is going to come in. If I can be a little bit critical of MaxPax's playstyle, yes, he's very good defensively. Yeah, we've seen some micro mistakes in this particular series, but he's also becoming a little too predictable. I've got a feeling that the next stage of MaxPax's, pro gamer development is him, he's now learned all of the rules. I've got a feeling that he's going to throw the rules out of the window at some point and then, just play those free-flowing playstyles instead. Kind of like what ByuN has been doing in this series so far. Like, ByuN knows the most optimal builds, but he purposefully plays something that is a little bit less optimized. And we've already seen MaxPax going for some of that in Protoss versus Zerg. Well, anyways, Probe is stuck inside the main base. He's gonna get shut down. ByuN is ready to start sending some of those Reapers towards the other side of the map. Okay. Yeah, so a double Reaper opener is not the best opener you can go for, right? For obvious reasons. It's just not that strong. But it's nice because you can force your opponent to make certain decisions that they may not have been planning for. So maybe MaxPax didn't want to go for a Twilight Council this opener, right? Or in this particular game. I mean, he probably did, but maybe he didn't want to do that. And now he feels like he's forced into that direction. And just grabbing the game right at the very start and just forcing your opponent to make decisions they may not have otherwise made. Like now he's going double Adept and he's going into a Stalker on the back of it too. Is he gonna commit? Yep. Nah. Not ideal. Not ideal at all. Anyways, couldn't really escape very easily either. You're immediately forcing your opponent to make decisions that they might be a little bit more uncomfortable with. Whereas all of this is it's just all very predictable. He's gonna see. Beautiful move right there for ByuN. He knows what he's going up against. Now, obviously, we've had a lot of players that play incredibly rigidly that have had a lot of success over the years in StarCraft 2. Guys like Innovation comes to mind, and, for example, Serral in like 2018 plays incredibly, or you played incredibly predictably. Innovations in particular, right? Innovation at some point started cheesing quite a bit as well, but it almost felt like he was almost forced to do that. Like he had like either a heavy macro style or an extreme cheese style. There was nothing in between. But I think that's probably the natural progression we'll see. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. We'll see. Okay. So a little bit of a back and forth so far in this game. Nothing all too crazy. This does mean, though, that MaxPax must be feeling pretty comfortable here. Yeah. He's got that Nexus obviously up nice and early. Another check here by ByuN. Sees that there's a gateway on the back of this. Sees that there's more upgrades coming. Sometimes the Dark Shrine, for example, can be built over in that location. Banshee with Cloak into Siege Tanks and Marines. It's a variation of the same theme. How much damage can MaxPax do on the other side of the map? Probably not a whole lot. I mean, Siege Tanks are going to be coming out very soon. He's got a Prism to provide that high ground vision. He's got Blink done as well, so he can get into into the opponent's main base here. Is he going to go for the forward third, or is he going to go for the back third? I think we'll have to see one of those options here soon enough. Or maybe he plans on dealing a lot of damage with this over here. There's already a Siege Tank out, though. Hello? Okay. Getting one of the reactors is nice. Dark Shrine on the back of it. Okay. We definitely are looking to take another base, though, don't we? Because we're already 5.5 minutes into this game. It's just really difficult to break these positions here at the front. When there's multiple Siege Tanks out, I mean, you can blink into the Siege Tanks, but it's very dangerous. The clock is ticking as well, because now that Banshee is arriving in the main base of the Protoss, and, well, it will start dealing some damage. Okay, this is forcing a more aggressive move over here. He gets one of the Siege Tanks. Marines over here, though, still providing a lot of damage, and he actually loses the Prism again. That's obviously because there's so many things going on at the same time. Good control over here, but that Banshee is still having a grand old time. So much damage here already done by the Terran player. Sure, losing the Siege Tank on the other side of the map sucks. Losing some Marines over here kind of sucks as well, but I think ByuN is doing an excellent job once again, out-controlling his opponent. And even though StarCraft 2 is very much so a game that's usually determined by macro, more so than micro, when both players have really, really good macro, like we see in this game, micro becomes very important. It's kind of funny, actually, how, like, micro is almost irrelevant at the lower level of play, but the higher you go on the ladder, the better it becomes. I mean, one of the bits of coaching that I used to give people when I, well, first started helping them out, right? Say in you know, someone in, like, Silver League. One of the bits of advice that feels very counterintuitive is to not look at the fights. Don't look at the fights. It feels stupid, but fights are irrelevant if you have thousands of resources in the bank by the 5-minute mark. Because you could have just had more stuff. More stuff just beats less stuff. StarCraft 2, not really a game where Dark Templar are trying to help out. Okay, they do get the Siege Tank here. That's nice. Problem is, there's the Raven. And now there's going to be some detection out. Anyways, it feels very counterintuitive, of course, because in every other game ever, you always want to look at the fighting. In StarCraft 2, you do want to look at the fighting, ideally, but not at the expense of, you know, forgetting everything else. Oh no, oh no. No! Oh. The Prism lives. It came at the cost right there of the Dark Templar, but the Prism lives. A little bit selfish right here from that Prism, but I get it, man. Otherwise, you both would have gone down. I think so anyways. Maybe he could have just flown away. Okay. So ByuN now at a nice advantage, right? He must be feeling pretty comfortable here. Now you can just go for your standard timing attack. So, +1 infantry weapons, +1 the armor upgrades, Stimpak, combat shields, the whole shebang. You can make a move when all of those upgrades are done. Because of that eco lead that you've got and that army advantage that you have, there's a very good chance that you will just end up with a lot more things than your opponent can actually handle with. Okay. More probes end up going down. Banshee's not super helpful in a straight-up battle. I mean, obviously you don't want to lose them, but if you can get some probes here in the meantime, that would be really nice. Still some Dark Templar shenanigans going on inside of the pocket expansions here of ByuN, but honestly, I don't think that this Prism is going to achieve all too much. Gotta be a little scared as well. For example, a Viking coming up at this point, just to try and take care of that that Prism. Losing it here would really suck for Mr. MaxPax. Observer aggressively staring at the opponent's Banshee. I think we're waiting right now for ByuN to go in for the killer move. He's playing it very slow here. He knows that he doesn't need to take any chances, but I just don't see exactly what MaxPax is going to be able to do against an army of this size with these upgrades. Ooh. Okay, one Marauder, the commanding officer of this Terran party. It's important to have one leader, someone who makes the calls. Apparently that guy has no faith in ByuN at all. That's okay. MaxPax thinking about going for a 4th Nexus, but I think we need to think about this base. Not this base, this army over here. This base over here is never gonna happen. A near 50 supply lead. Okay, maybe a little bit less, but if you round it up very generously. A very nice advantage here for ByuN nonetheless. Now he ends up killing the opponent's Cyber Core, which sucks, because that means that ByuN at this point is going up against the Protoss, who cannot warp in any Stalkers, Sentries, or Adepts. So it's just going to be a bunch of Zealots, I suppose. A couple of the gateways here now also unpowered. GG is just simply cold. And it's indeed ByuN who wins the ESL Open Cup Americas number 152.